Welcome back, art students. In today's lesson, we will create a camping scene. Ready to begin? In this lesson, you will need watercolor paints, brush, water for rinsing your paintbrush, paper towel, crayons, and a black Sharpie marker. Okay, let's get started. The first line we're going to make is starting with our black Sharpie marker. We're going to start with our little tiny camper bus. And we're going to do this in the right corner of our piece of paper. One straight line, another straight line right on top. We're making the bumper of our bus. Now a rounded line from the top to the bottom line. Top to the bottom line, rounded on both sides. Now we're going to make this arching line here. This is going to be the shape of our Volkswagen bus. We're going to start on one side, go up, round your line, and back down. Starting at the very tip, up, rounded, and back down. Okay, now we're going to make our tiny little wheels that will come out from our bus. Now we're going to come in just a little and make one line down, another line down, same size, and we kind of round that line. Go ahead and shade in that black. Okay, we're going to do another wheel on the other side. Come in, here's the side, come in a little bit, one straight line down, another straight line down, and then round that line to close that shape. And go ahead and shade in your other tire. Okay, we're going to make our windows now. Our VW bus has two windows in the front. To do this, here's the top, here's sort of the top middle. We're going to make two short lines, 1, 2, right in the middle. Now two short lines, touching the bottom of the line. Make a straight line to the side of the VW bus. Now the other side. Touch the bottom of the other line and make a straight line to the side. I'm not touching. I want to leave a little space for the frame of the bus. Okay, and now we're going to make a shorter line on top. Top line, short line, stop. Another short line on the other side, stop. And these lines are going to follow the curved shape of our rounded bus. 1, 2, to close our space. Next, we're going to make the design in our bus. We're going to do this by finding the middle, the bottom middle of our bus, and making a small little line right in the middle. Now touching the end, a curved line up right to the edge of the bus. And the same for the other side. Touch the end of the line, curved line up right to the end of the bus. We're going to make a circle in the middle. This is a popular older little camping bus that you might still see on the road, and it's a Volkswagen, and we're going to make the Volkswagen symbol right in the front. To do this, you're going to make a tiny little V on top, and then you're going to make a W underneath. Down, then up, down, then up. Okay, now touching that top line, the line that we made on the side here, we're going to make just a short line out and another short line out on the other side. This is where our little rear view mirrors will go, and you'll make 2 small rectangles. 1, 2. Now our headlights, we'll have 2 sets of headlights. One large, let's do the other side, 2. 2 large headlights, and let's do 2 small lights on top. All right, next to our, this is our campsite, next to our VW bus, our little camper van, we're going to make a nice little fire. Right in the middle of our paper, middle bottom. Slanted line down. Another slanted line that follows this line. Close your shape. This is for our log. Now we're going to make our log look sort of rounded, and we're going to do this by touching just the top of our rectangle shape and kind of making a rounded shape on top. There's one on the top, and now let's do it on the bottom. A rounded line at the end. Okay, so there's one log, and you need lots of logs to start a fire. This one will go a slanted line in, lift up your marker, another slanted line out, another line, and then down, and then we'll close our shape, a little rounded end on both sides. Okay, now we're going to put the flame above our logs. To do this, I'm going to make a curved line right above. And then I'm going to make my flames that shoot up. I don't want them to go too high up because I have my mountains to put in there and my sky, so I'm going to make some wavy lines that go down, maybe then up, down, and then up. Looks like a nice roaring fire. Couple little dots maybe around it. Okay, now our fire is contained, and we're going to put little tiny river rocks right around our campfire. And I'm going to just make round circles that go all the way around our campfire. Okay, now for our tent. Our tent will be right next to our fire, and I'm going to make one straight line. I'm going to make a slanted line in and stop. Next to my slanted line in, I'm going to make a straight line down, right the same level as my slanted line. Close your triangle here. And now shade in this triangle black. This is going to be the inside of our tent. Looks like you can climb right inside when we're finished. Okay, after you shade in that black triangle, we're going to finish our tent. To do this, we have the first slanted line we made here. We're going to follow along this line and make that line a little bit longer and stop. I'm going to do the same on this line here. Now this is my top line. I'm going to make the back of the tent. Here's the front of the tent. The back of the tent will be a slanted line down and stop. Now I need to close my tent. Make the bottom line of your tent, touching one side of the line all the way to the other. Now we're going to put a little tiny stake, little line, 1, 2, 3, and you can't see the one that's behind here because we're only looking at one side of the tent, but these stakes will hold down our tent just in case it gets windy. Okay, we have our tent now. Now we're going to make our horizon line. And we're going to make a straight line. We're going to make this close to our campsite where we have our fire and our tent and our little camper parked here. We want to leave space for our mountains and our sunset. Okay, so right above the tent, not too far above the tent, I'm going to make a straight line all the way over. Now do your best to make a straight line. It doesn't have to be straight line. Now when I get to my bus, or if I'm near my fire, make sure you lift up your marker and then continue on the other side. Okay. Now I'm going to make my 3 trees. I'm going to make one big, medium, and one small. 3 trees. Okay, we're going to start at the very top with our trees, and I'm going to make the lines down on one side, and then I'm going to come back and do the other side. So starting at the very tip of your line, I'm going to make slanted lines down, and I'm going to make these lines close to each other. These will be the lines of a pine tree. Slanted lines down. I'm going to leave a little space at the bottom for the trunk of the tree. I have one side, and now I'm going to do the other. Slanted lines down. They're close together, these lines. And stop. The same for the medium-sized tree. Slanted line down on one side. Little space at the bottom for the trunk. And now the other side. Last tree. Okay, and now for our mountains. You can make your mountains look any way you like. I chose a large one in the center, and I did this by making sort of a triangle kind of floating right in the center like this. And then I'm going to make maybe a couple more rolly hills. These are triangle up and down shape lines. Up and down. Okay, now we live near the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and there is still snow on the Rocky Mountains. So I've left little patches of snow at the very, very top of these high mountains. And to do this, we're going to touch the top of the mountain, just below the very, very tip. I'm going to make wavy lines up and down and up and down. Sort of looks like the snow is melting right off the mountain. And I'm going to give all my peaks a little snow cap. White snow at the very top. Okay, we are finished with our black Sharpie marker. You can cap that up, and we're going to start adding our color to our piece of art. Now we're not going to color the whole thing in with crayons. We're going to be doing some outlining, and then we'll fill in the rest of our piece of paper with watercolor paint. So to start, let's not forget to do our white snow cap mountain. So we're going to use a white for this, And using white is tricky because you don't always see it on your white paper. You're going to press down hard and go ahead and shade in all of your white snow cap tips of your mountain. Press down hard. Okay, my white snow-capped mountains are finished, and now I'm going to trace my mountain in green. Just going to go to the side. I'm not going to trace my white snow cap, the top. I'm going to make my line go right underneath my snowy cap. I went right along the top, underneath, and now I'm going to trace the rest of my mountain. Underneath. If you went above, that's okay. Try to do the next one. Just tracing. Okay. Now let's give our mountain landscape a beautiful sunset. And we're going to make our sun just sort of going right behind the mountains, the way that it sets here in Colorado in the west, right behind the mountains. So I'm going to put my sun here, but you could put yours here or here. Depends on where you want your sun to set. So to make a sun right in this little triangle space, I'm just going to make a rounded line connecting one mountain to the other. Just a rounded yellow line. And now I'm going to shade in that space yellow. I'm pressing down really hard. I want my sun to be really bright. Okay, now we're going to make those beautiful rays of sunlight that we see. Okay, so touching our sun, I'm just going to make straight rays of sun out, up and out. You can make as many as you like. All right. We're also going to use our yellow to color in the lights of our little VW bus. So go ahead and use your yellow, since we have it, and go ahead and color in your little circle headlights on your bus. Okay. We're going to need our green one more time to trace our trees. We made a nice shape with our trees using the black Sharpie marker, and now we're going to trace those lines. Trace the straight line, and I'm going to just make some lines down now. Pressing down hard. Okay. Go ahead and choose what color you want to make your tent and your bus, and we will outline those. I'm going to follow my example and do a sort of red tent, and I used pink to outline my tent. So I'm going to outline just the sides, the inside of my tent, pink. And I'll go back and shade it in with red in the end. Now our bus. If you have a gray, find a gray. If you don't have a gray, you can always use black and go really, really light. I have a gray, and I'm going to shade in my windows. I'm going to trace the inside of my window, shape. And I'm going to gently use the side of my crayon, and I'm going to color in my windows. And I'm going to also use that gray to color in my bumper. Using the side, I'm making a very gentle, not coloring very hard here. Okay, I'm going to make my VW bus blue. And I'm going to just trace the lines that I made here in blue. All my lines. I will shade in my blue rear view mirrors. Maybe trace around my windows. Okay, next, if you finish with your VW bus, we're going to color in our campfire. Having a campfire when you're camping is really fun and special. You can cook on your campfire, or it helps keep you warm, or provides light when you need light, making s'mores. Okay, we're going to make our campfire glowing orange and red, so you can take your orange crayon and you can shade in the outside orange. You can put a few red marks in there, maybe even a little yellow in there. You can also take your yellow and make some glowing yellow crayon right around your fire. It's very hot. Okay. Next, we will shade in our brown logs, our campfire wood. Tracing in our shade. Okay. You can use your gray or your black if you like to color in all of your little river rocks, or brown would look nice. And maybe we'll add a little shadow just behind our logs. There. Okay, we are ready to paint, to fill in the rest of our art with watercolor paints. Now, I chose to make a really beautiful sort of rainbow sunset, but you can make your sky look different by maybe making it all blue. I also wanted to show you an example of what it looks like if you were to paint a night scene. I made a full moon here, and I used my white crayon to make a full moon, and I made dots for stars. Do you see how the lighting is different on a sunny, beautiful sunset with a full moon? So you can decide, maybe you'll do one of each. For today's artwork, we're going to do the colorful sunny one, but maybe you'll go back and use darker colors for a full moon. Okay, go ahead and find your paintbrush. Give it a dip in the water. And we're first going to start at the very top. We're going to make our sunset, and we're going to be starting with yellow. I'm going to go right over my sun with yellow and just peek out that yellow right above my sun. And then I'm going to just kind of take my paintbrush, I'm going to lift it up. I don't want to go over my mountains. And then I'll make a little yellow on the other side of the mountain. And I'm going to basically have the same yellow line, so our sunset looks like it's filling the whole sky right across. So if I start with yellow, I'm going to make my first light of yellow all the way across. Yellow. Okay, go ahead and rinse your brush. Next, we will use orange. We're going to make sure that each of our colors that we use, that those colors touch each other. It'll look really nice when these colors kind of mix in together. So I'm going to make just one line of orange right over my yellow, all the way across my paper. Okay, next we're going to use red. A line of red all the way across. Make sure these lines are blended together. You don't want to have a line of white between. Looks really nice when the colors work together. And our last color, well, not our last color, we have purple next. Purple, rinse your brush. Purple, touching my last color. Line of purple all the way across. And then our last color now will be blue. I'm going to just take that blue right off the page, touching my purple, but not going all the way over my purple. I want to make sure I see each color in my sky. Okay, beautiful sunset. And now we're going to shade in our mountains green. Rinse your brush and dip it into your green. And we're going to start by shading just underneath our snow-capped mountains. So we don't get, we're going to use we're going to make slow little brush strokes so we don't mix our green into our beautiful sunset. I'm going pretty slow around the edges where I've just put my yellow because it's wet. I'm tracing that green line that we made with our crayons. That crayon helps to keep our colors separate. Trying really hard not to go into my yellow space. I'm going to take this green all the way down. I'm going to go right over my trees that I made. I'm going to stop at my horizon line. Re-dipping your paintbrush as many times as you need it. Sometimes our paintbrush gets really dry and you really can't see the color. when you get near your VW bus, make slow paint strokes, slow, careful paintbrush strokes around your bus to keep those colors separate. Okay, I want to make sure I filled in all of my mountain, a beautiful green mountain. Okay, next we are going to rinse our brush. And I'm going to shade in my campsite. Now my campsite is going to have lots of different colors. We're going to layer some colors on top. So it looks like maybe there are some maybe bushes or maybe some rocks. Maybe you'll add some extra things to your campsite, like a cooler or maybe a picnic table. Maybe you bring games or toys. Let's start using, we'll start with our brown today. Dipping your paintbrush, find your brown, and we're going to trace that horizon line with brown, trying not to get into our green. And I'm going to go around my tent. We have a lot of soil in Colorado, that sort of a reddish brown. So if you like the way this looks, the way that it is, you can be finished with your campsite. Or if you want to make it look a little darker, you can keep following along. And go right over that campsite, or the campfire here. Around your bus, going carefully around your bus. Okay, there's our first layer. Brown soil, red soil really. It's brown, but it looks kind of red, doesn't it? Okay, and now we're going to add some colors on top. I'm going to make my soil look a little darker, so I'm going to put some black on top of that. Going carefully around my tent. This is a darker, richer brown. I have a lot of paint here, so I'm going to push that all over my piece of paper to spread out that dark shade of black. So it's not so dark in one spot. Now, if you like, you can add a little green to your campsite for some green vegetation. Maybe these are wildflowers or green bushes. A little bit of green, and you can just do little tiny areas where there's going to be maybe a bush. I'm not going to shade in the whole area, just adding little bits of green. my campsite. Okay, now we are ready to shade in our tent and our bus, our little camper van. Okay, rinse your brush and choose the color you're going to use to paint your tent. I'm going to do red. I'm going to go very slow as I shade in my tent because I don't want my colors to leave my tent. Now I have my line that I used in the middle, and that will help. My pink line helps to keep my colors in the shape that I want. Nice red tent. And now I'm going to shade in my little camper van blue. But you can choose a different color as well for your little camper bus if you like. I'm going to just carefully go over my camper van with blue, going slow on the edges so I don't accidentally get my paint out. I'm not going to take my paint over my windows or my bumper, but you can if you like. I'm going to keep those looking gray. Okay, I think we have shaded in all of our colors. We have a beautiful sunset campsite. Maybe next time you'll choose to do the full moon. Both fun ideas, and I hope you get to go camping this summer. And there you have a fun little camping scene. See you next time. Bye.